Morning, everyone. Welcome to Coffee Talk. It's the three amigos back together this week.
Hey-o.
And do you know how often I am greeted by my youngest with just that? I don't know, like she's picked it up being around the church. Yeah, ayo. She'll be like, ayo. And I'm like, oh, that's lovely.
Tom. I love it.
That's some influence right there. Young minds being shaped by older generations in the church. Anyways, we're so great to spend a few minutes with you and together. Just filling you in, looking back at what happened on Sunday, looking ahead to other events in the life of our church, and making sure you're up to speed and with us all along the way. So first, looking back, we talked this last week about blessing. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if you guys had time to reflect. Preaching I love because you get the preparation time. It's like, okay, I get to think through this for a week or two going in. So we come to this moment and I know my answers, but we'll start with guys, how have you felt blessed? Whether that's like way back, years ago when I was a kid, this thing happened, or even, and this is often great, within the last couple of weeks, what's some way that you have felt blessed?
Well, I had to really think hard. There was one time that I felt really blessed. I'm just joking. I've actually been thinking about how blessed I am, all the time, every day. Just, I wake up, I have breath, I have a family, a lot of people don't have some of these things, but there's so many ways that we're blessed. Just where I live, being a part of Lakeview Heights. I'm having a hard time thinking of a way that I'm not blessed, I guess is a better way to put it. So I know that's a kind of an easy answer, but man, I just been really thinking about how blessed I am. How about for you?
I think the way that I've been specifically blessed in the last few weeks is a reminder, and it's also one way that I have tried to bless others. We had 3 kids in soccer this year.
Yeah.
And it was a bit of a busy year for us as well too. So even through the whole soccer season, we had Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday were all soccer days. Yeah. And Saturday was different locations, like all the time. There was never something on the same field with our kids. Yeah. So I was extremely blessed by parents who stepped up and coached. Yeah. And it's something that I was able to do in the past, and it was something I was able to this year to say, I'm good, thank you. Thank you for blessing. But they were there and they were in it and they cared about my kids, and they encouraged them and challenged them, and they were there early, and they were, they're thinking through all these things. And I remember being in that zone, and I just wanted to be there to take care of even these parents' kids for an hour, so that the parents could just step away and just do what they need to do, and really spur on these kids towards loving soccer and just enjoying being together in team sports and all of those things that really spoke to me in my younger years too. So I feel like I've been on both sides of that coin, and the soccer is kind of done now. It comes back in September, but all through June, and those hot days, and some busy Saturdays where we couldn't make all the games. It was a real blessing to me to have those parents jump in and do that.
So good.
Awesome.
Yeah.
What I'll share actually ties into the next question, and the first is, I remember last time. Well, basically, this has happened every time we've done an international missions trip with our youth or anyone. We go there with the idea, we're going to bless these people, and what I find more often than not, I come away going, I am so blessed. Just not because they do. Well, they do. The way people host, but it's they just listen and spend time, and it's a funny, interesting, reciprocal thing where it's I come away going, wow, look at how great the family of God is, how great His kingdom is, that we were just brought together. And so I come away so blessed by the way people show care and interest and and affection and help in so many different ways. And so that certainly carries over in our day-to-day. Like, when the fact that we have friends and neighbors that we can call up pretty much at any time, be like, hey, can you watch the kids for a couple hours, right? We're all every which way. Or, pretty much when there's a number of different issues, I know that there's, okay, I call that person for that person for that. And it's the community that we are a part of, I think, is the way that we really feel the most blessed. And I do want us to share kind of some of the ways we've tried to bless others. But out of that missions experience, I think what I learned most on that trip, as people were pouring into us and blessing us, is that these people are incredibly blessed just by our presence. The fact that we go and sit and listen and seek to understand, because a lot of days we weren't like doing anything that might be directly helpful to their lives and building in, but just having a cup of coffee and sitting down and just listening to what God's laid on their heart, the testimony they have, or some of their, sharing in their struggles just by listening to them, is a huge way that I was surprised to find out was a blessing to others. Mm-hmm. And thinking back on even then relating to some of the ways I've been blessed, it's the people, just the presence that is a huge blessing. But for you guys, what are some of the ways that you've been intentional about trying to bless others?
It's maybe a little bit further back, but there was, through the pandemic, there was actually a local store that I was going to quite often. And through that whole experience, realizing that this global supply chain was really, really affecting this person and their whole business.
Right.
And not only was it a joy to just go shop in this person's store, but through all of that, making actually a personal connection and talking about, him asking what I do and being able to talk through that and hearing about his life and hearing about, hey, what'd you guys do this weekend? And really actually making a really, not deep, but a very personal connection in a time when this person was kind of feeling like, I don't know how I'm going to get through this whole pandemic, either because everybody's going to Amazon or because I just don't know what's going to happen next. And I don't know, like, there was just a lot of uncertainty. And what do you do with hand sanitizing and like all those things? And like, can we even be open? All those things. And it was really enjoyable to just make a connection with that person. Yes, I bought some of their stuff, but it was more enjoyable to just go there and just chat and to hang out. And,
That's really good. That personal just connection.
I like that. So for me, one thing that I've really been trying to do, which is very, I feel a little awkward trying to tell how we're trying to bless people, like we're trying to be proud of it. But I know that's not why you're saying it.
Yeah, no, I do. But I'll explain why I appreciate it.
But one thing that I'm really trying, I'm finding that is a blessing that nobody might ever know is just praying for people. Like as I'm walking, I remember we had Darlene on Coffee Talk about a year and a bit ago. Yep. And we talked about that. And I've been doing that. As I walk my dogs at night, I will pray for the different, for the people in the houses that I walk past. So I think of that as a blessing. But then a little bit more tangible, it's like just really, like you said, listening. Like when you're with somebody, it's so easy to try to tell or talk about or give answers, and just the gift of listening, trying to work on that more, right? Like just how this is a blessing to let somebody be heard. Those are
well, no, I think that's great, because at the real heart desire of every person is to know and be known. And so that taps into such a God-made need in everyone's life. And so...
And actually, that's where it actually started. Was I learned this person's name.
Yes.
And as soon as I started calling them by their name, hey, Mark. Right? And every time I came in, and all of a sudden, their persona even towards me changed. Because they felt like I wasn't just getting stuff from them, I was actually connecting with them as a person. And I knew their name, and I remembered it. And it was... it was important because I was seeing them as a person.
Yeah.
That's exactly it.
Right. I know, absolutely. And I think about praying for my neighbors, and sometimes I'll even walk between home and the church, and I will pray for some of the people along the route, but what comes first is actually knowing something about them, so that the prayer is all the more specific and effective, and helps me lift them up in a I think a richer way.
Yeah.
And so the two can't be disconnected. Right? I mean, it can be.
It's
We can
actually
just, God, pray for whoever's behind that door. You know them, I don't know them, but and that I'm sure happens.
That often happens, but what you just said is really helpful. It's actually helped me remember people's names, because I'll meet them and I'll be like, okay, now I can pray for that specifically, right? And so I know these people that walk past their house. Please, be with, and bless these. So, it's good.
Right, and then it's not this anonymous family behind the green door, but it's
right.
So and so a name, and you know what, and God, that they got this, and some of the things, and then to follow that up and be like, hey, how you doing? I mean, if you have a great relationship, hey, I prayed for you. How did it turn out? Or if they're not there yet, just to follow up, because again, to know and be known is such a heart of everything, and so. I'll say, church, that as we talked about, how do we bring this into the fold of conversation? It feels wrong in some ways. I think I don't have a better word for it to talk about how we're trying to bless others, but I think it's important for us to, with one another, share that, because it spurs one. I think often about that verse in Hebrews, right? Spur one another on towards love and good deeds.
Yes.
And with humility, then we do that, I think, in part by sharing, here's how I'm trying it, what have you tried, so that we can encourage and then follow up. Hey, Jeff, how's it going praying for your neighbors?
Yeah.
Right? Oh, I haven't been out this week. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right? Not to shame each other, but just to encourage. How's it going?
And remind. Yeah.
I feel like for some reason the balance becomes hard, because we hear Jesus saying, let your good deeds be known, do your good deeds in secret, right? Or don't be like the pagans and do this on the street corner and stuff like that. But it's also balanced with let your light shine before men, that they may see your good deeds and praise your Father in heaven. So that's our end goal. But we do need to have balance to that, right? And so that's why it's sometimes hard to even talk about this, because even the phrase that's come up a lot has been tooting our own horn, right? And we keep talking about that, and yet it can't be a pendulum swing of like, let's not talk about that, don't talk about that, right? Because actually there's a necessity to it, like you kind of have said. It's actually really important, especially within believers, to be challenging and spurring one another on to good deeds, and that's I think what Christ is calling us to do, is to say, not see what I did, but hey, I think we could do this. Wouldn't it be awesome if we did that? Wow, I'm so thankful that you're blessing your community in this way or that way, right?
Yeah. It's very good. So those are some ways individually we can bless our community. Something that is important to the community of Lakeview Heights Baptist Church is how are we going to bless our community as one community to another. So Jeff, you've been a year and a half. How have you seen LHBC trying to bless not just, I guess, Lakeview, West Kelowna, BC, the world, right? We think of our, Jerusalem, Judea, Samaria, ends of the earth kind of rings going out. What are some of the ways you've seen our church blessing others?
Good question. So first of all, I think there's things that we do together as a church that we can't do alone.
Yes.
But I think there's so many ways that so many of you that are watching and somebody that are blessing your neighbors, blessing the people around you that I've heard about as well. And that's just so great that what we're doing here, we spur each other on, encourage each other to do it. So we do it individually. But some of the things we've done together, I know I'm going to miss some, but I even just thinking back to Christmas time when we had the Gifts of Hope, where we were able to be a part of that. just recently we shipped out, I don't know how many pounds, like 200 pounds of White Cross
Yeah,
materials.
200 pounds just last week.
So,
It's not the first shipment of the year, but just
another
the
one.
most recent one.
And so we're blessing across the world in Cameroon there. We were able to give 8 boxes of clothing to Mamas for Mamas.
Oh, yeah.
And that happened a couple Fridays ago. The very next week, some Ukrainian families that were refugees were blessed by Mamas to Mamas, and some of our clothes were part of that. So that was really cool. You did the cycling to Merit.
Yeah, I realized it wasn't necessarily a Lakeview thing, but a lot of Lakeview people got connected with that and like did exponentially more than I think even the goal for fundraising was, and like well over halfway, like just about, almost the full way to what used to be a water well.
And I think you
built,
said
right?
we mentioned it at a coffee talk, and like that very next day you got some more, so it's kind of neat.
A huge one came in, and there's even one that came in today, and
That's awesome.
it's still being a blessing and building clean water around the
Super
world.
cool.
And,
51 backpacks.
Yeah.
You did that.
Yeah, we dropped the
coordinated
food bank just last week. Yep.
Yeah. So I'm sure there's more stuff, but those are some of the ways that I've seen, and then we celebrate LHBC being a blessing to our community and beyond. So yeah, it's good.
That's great. And so, church, some of those you might be like, hey, I didn't hear about that. How did that happen? Sometimes we just get to be a conduit, like the clothes that went to Mamas for Mamas. It's just someone dropped off boxes of stuff, and we went, who needs this? And so we then redistributed.
Boys and Girls Club meal, right?
Right.
Like we don't have direct contact, but we are just giving food and being a blessing to them.
Which is similar to the backpacks at the food bank, right? They do the real legwork. We just, supply it. And so all that to say, don't be surprised when you hear of more, because I think that's something we're often doing as leadership is how else? What's the next thing we can do? Because, needs keep going up and up. The number of people who need to meet Jesus goes up. And Lakeview, we try and go, how can we help? How can we bless? How can we?
And Jesus' blessings are abundant. Like the more we bless, the more we receive. And, and he delights in us blessing. So encourage you to take some of these ideas and build your own. And
he owns the backpacks on 1,000 Hills.
That's right.
Yeah.
So,
though, hey, if we start digging in the sand, maybe we'll find someone's buried talent.
Well, speaking of sand,
we're at a beach. We're at a beach because Friday night, ladies are going to the beach. I don't think it's like a beach night swimming. No, it's like games, fellowship. I hear the words ice cream.
Yeah, I think so.
And it's at the Nut Farm on Friday night.
Which, if it's super hot, it's possible they might just jump in. So you could be prepared for that if you want. But
anything could happen. It's supposed to be warm. I don't think that is the main event. But you know what? We're going to leave that to the ladies. You do you.
Another reason we're at the beach is because of drama camp.
Oh, sure. But just a second. Need to RSVP for that. That's what they're asking. That's the last thing I wanted to say. Contact Lori in the office, and because the ladies committee, women's committee, I guess is the proper title, just wants to organize, make sure they've got enough snacks and other things for that. So if you can let the office know that you're coming, that would be awesome. Okay, now drama camp. Yes, at the beach, because it's all about a loose retelling, not a verse for verse, but I can't even say modern day retake because it's set in the 50s, but it's inspired by the life of Joseph.
Retelling.
Yeah, the life of Joseph. And so, Egypt, sand, this isn't a river. I guess it's a swollen river. I mean, really. And so I think we're here because, Jeff, you're about to try parting this and crossing it, right? That's or you left your staff at the office.
Got a bit more work to do.
You left your staff at the office. Okay, so maybe next time. But 3.5 weeks. So August 8th is coming up, and we say that because we know you are very mindful people and you haven't forgotten, but we want to invite you to be praying for it, praying for the preparation, praying for the kids who are going to come. Some of them are from Lakeview, some from other churches, some no church background at all. But what we hope is that every kid who comes will experience the love of God, and more than that, experience a way to share their talents, use their gifts, and grow in just grow in multiple ways in relationship with Jesus, but also just as people, as young, older children, younger youth, grow in all of that. So we invite you especially to be praying. And again, there's still about, a week or so that kids could sign up. I mean, there's room, and we don't want anyone to miss out.
No.
So if you've got suddenly heard that a grandchild is going to be visiting and they might be up for this, that would be awesome to have them. Again, it's for anybody in the community, however big or small you think that circle that marks the community is. And so
Awesome.
it'd be great to have them there. So that's coming up, August 8th, Ladies Friday night. Anything else that people need to know about? I think those are the big two.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Sunday.
We will see you Sunday.